Hey guys, welcome back to the Fishing Teacher. Appreciate you guys checking out today's video. Today guys, we're gonna dive into talking about fishing during the spawning season. At the time of filming this video, guys, first week of March, spawning season is gonna be right around the corner, depending upon where you're at. It may be going on right now if you're down south, but in my part of the country, it's about a month away. So I think it's a good time to talk about this. I want to talk a little bit about the different perspectives, a little bit, my opinion on whether you should not fish for bass during the spawning season. I think it's a hot button topic, but it shouldn't be. But we're going to get into that in today's video, and definitely looking forward to getting your guys' opinions there too. Also, guys, real quick, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, man, all you got to do is go to my Facebook page, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat. Shoot me a private message. I'll get you all the details with that. And also, guys, speaking of spring, we do have my spring Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns up on the website right now. Great places to get, or great resource to get some good places for, your spring fishing on your favorite lake or you've never been to before. These are maps I have built specifically for fishthemoment.com. I'll have the link in the description there. And if you do get one of the map breakdowns, guys, feel free to contact me through my Facebook page anytime if you have any questions on the map. So really appreciate that. Okay, guys, I've been outspoken about this, in the past quite a bit. And my stance is that on spawning fish is I don't think it's a good idea to fish specifically for spawning fish. Now, given that, let me explain a little bit why, and just dig into this a little bit, because they're sort of like all over the board. Now, I'm as guilty of it as anybody, because I have to fish tournaments wherever and whenever the tournaments are. So some of the tournaments, guys, the fish are spawning, and even though I may not be fishing or targeting or fishing specifically for bedding fish, a lot of times in the springtime of the year, you're catching bedding fish if you can't even see them. And of course, if I'm in a tournament and I'm rolling down the bank and all of a sudden I see a 4-pounder sitting on a bed, I've got to try to catch it in a tournament. I mean, that's just what I've got to do to compete. I don't like it, but I've got to do it in a tournament. So let's talk a little bit about, how to handle this a little bit, maybe in a non-tournament situation. First of all, there is a big discussion on whether it hurts the fish or not to catch them off the beds. I don't think that it's beyond a stretch to assume that it's like, yeah, if you see a bass spawning or a pair of bass spawning on the nest, and if you catch the fish off of that bed, especially if you keep it and eat it, or if you haul it around in the boat in a tournament, I don't think anybody can disagree with the fact that it probably has a negative impact on the fishery. Those fish are not going to spawn successfully. That's just the reality of the situation. So from a pure conservation standpoint, it's best to let those fish spawn. And, the more successful that a spawn is, and the more successful that a year class is of spawners, the better it's going to be for everybody down the road, 2 or 3 years down the road, when these bass get big enough to be caught. So I think a lot of people, if they look at it like that, it's worth the sacrifice of just saying, hey, there's a 2 or 3 week period here in March or April or early May where these fish are spawning. I just need to give them a break and let them sort of do their thing. And that's what I try to do. If I'm fishing for fun and I'm not in a tournament, which about once every 2 or 3 years, we have a tournament that lands right on top of the spawn. So this doesn't happen a lot in my tournaments. But if I'm just fishing for fun, I love to watch bass spawning. It's like, but I don't fish for them. It's like, it fascinates me that if I can see a pair of bass on a nest or something like that, I love to get close to them and just sit there and watch them. Let them do their thing and watch them. I don't fish for them. I don't try to catch them off the bed. I'll fish other ways. I mean, say, for example, if we're fishing at Table Rock Lake and I can see 5 beds in this one cove, I'll fish through there by throwing a shaky head out in 10 foot of water or something. And a lot of times I'll catch fish doing that. In fact, more times than not. But I really try to let those spawning fish go undisturbed. I just think that from a conservation standpoint, that's a good thing to do. And don't get me wrong, guys, it's fun to catch a bedding fish. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. It's like when you put your bait on a bed there and the fish eats it and you set the hook, and in clear water you see that fish turn sideways, there's something about that as a bass angler. We don't get to see that hook set, what it looks like. So to me, that's one of the most incredible fun things about catching bass off of a bed. It's like you actually get to see what happens. It's like, this is what happens when you pitch a jig into a bush or whatever. You see that same movement of the fish, and to see that visually, it's very attractive. So, but I've really tried to train myself into not doing that and just let them spawn undisturbed. Now, I think a lot of this also is important with the fact, guys, that we have more people fishing than ever before. It's not like it was back when I started out back in the early 80s fishing. We've got 10 times or more, probably 50 times more fishing pressure now. So when you put more people on the lake that are better anglers, they can have a big impact on a fishery if they fish when those fish are on the beds. And for example, one of the arguments I've always got in with this, one of the guys I was in a bass club with 40 years ago, he always liked to go down to Table Rock Lake at night fish during the first full moon of April when the fish are spawning, because the fish bit really good when they're spawning at night. And he'd flay them out. They'd go down there, him and his buddies, and catch their limit. And it didn't matter if they were 5 or 6 pounders full of eggs, he would still flay them out. And I talked to him, I said, man, I said, do you know how many bass eggs that you guys are killing by flaying these big females out you're catching off the beds? And they don't really care. And this is one of the things I think we sort of have to educate ourselves about, is that you've got to sort of think about stuff beyond yourself a little bit. This is sort of the video I talk about on my other channels a lot. I don't normally talk about this stuff on the Fishing Teacher, but I just wanted to bring it up in today's video, guys, because spawning season is coming up. So my opinion, guys, with the whole thing is that it's very difficult not to fish for them, especially if you're in tournaments. I'm not saying somebody's a bad person if you do that, but I think that just from a pure conservation standpoint about ensuring the health of our fisheries down the road, I think it's a good idea just to let them have it. Let them have a couple weeks on the bed to get their thing done. It's not going to kill everybody to just let them do it, and I think it helps everybody out in the long run. So, guys, let me know what you think. We'll talk later.